What's up, y'all? It's Chris. I want to talk a little bit about this Facing Ali documentary I watched last night. If I have time, a little bit about Fight Camp 360 that was on last night as well. I guess this Ali documentary been out for a minute. Came out last year. I remember hearing about it when it came out, but I didn't know it had already been on DVD for a minute. I don't really go to the video, so I just Netflix stuff. Um, so it was on Spike TV last night. They replayed it twice. I'm sure they'll be showing it again in case you missed it, or I guess you can rent it or even buy it. I'll probably end up buying it actually because it was so damn good. But anyways, documentary itself, not the typical Muhammad Ali fair. I mean, you get a lot of the stuff you already know about, little bits and pieces of it, his career, the whole not going to Vietnam, getting not being able to fight and whatnot. But more so, it just focuses on the fighters, some of the main fighters that he faced during that era, and their stories about fighting Muhammad Ali, a little bit of backstories about themselves, how they got into boxing. Um, it's pretty damn interesting. It kind of reminds me of they don't do it all the time. They don't do it often enough, in my opinion, HBO and Showtime. But before they have fights, sometimes before they have the fighters come out, they'll do a little piece on them. I remember seeing one on Andre Berto and his father, and Miguel Cotto. I'm not talking 24/7 stuff, which is great as well, but I'm just talking little pieces that they do on the fighters before the fight sometimes. Whenever you get to see this behind the scenes stuff, or just stuff on these guys outside the ring, it definitely makes you a lot more invested in the fighters. At least personally, it does to me. You're not just rooting for the guy in there, or for the fight itself. You're kind of getting a little bit to know about him personally, what they're fighting for. So this is definitely a good piece of that. Obviously we know most of these guys that Muhammad Ali fought. We know who they are. Foreman, Frazier, Norton, Chuvalo, Terrell, Shavers, Holmes. But we get at least for myself personally. I don't know too much about these men personally aside from like Holmes and Foreman and a little about Spinks and Lyle and stuff. Granted there was the HBO documentary or the ESPN documentary last year on Larry Holmes when he fought Muhammad Ali, which was great. And then there was the one on HBO I believe 2 years ago about Joe Frazier and his situation with Muhammad Ali, which was also great as well. If you didn't see those, make sure to check those out. I don't recall the names, but you can find out where they are from anybody on here or anywhere online. Just look it up. But in regards to this one, it started out with Henry Cooper, I believe was the first guy that they spoke with, and just talked about how he got into boxing, and he had a great quote. I don't know it exactly, but he said something like, "It's easier to be a great fighter if you come from a working class as opposed to middle class because you really got something to fight for." Um, you actually see that a lot in fighting. They come out of a lot of the top fighters, or just fighters in general, come from humble beginnings. They really have to struggle to get where they are. I think it's that struggle that helps them achieve greatness. Just because they know where they've been and they know where they want to get to, they work that extra bit harder, rather than someone that doesn't have it as tough growing up. Um, but yeah, we heard about Cooper, talked about his fight, showed how he cracked Muhammad Ali and knocked him down. But Ali got up and ended up winning the fight on cuts. I may get the order mixed up a little. George Chuvalo, I believe, was next. The guy is very well spoken. I mean, unbelievably articulate. Not to say that he shouldn't be, but a lot of these fighters, you can tell in their voices that they've just suffered some effects from all their times and all their time and all their time in the ring and whatnot. But Chuvalo, man, he's very well spoken, very clear spoken. I mean, very interesting guy. I didn't really know a whole lot about him before this, and it talks about tragedies gone on in his family. Not even relation to boxing at all, but it's just amazing that what this man's been through. I might have to look and see if there's a book or a story on him or something, a movie or something, because this guy's life seems pretty damn interesting. Maybe not in the same way as Muhammad Ali's, but just as intriguing either way. But and actually he gave some good backstory on the fight with Ernie Terrell and Muhammad Ali as well. So a lot of insider stuff provided by George Chuvalo. Definitely a great addition to this piece. Then I believe the Ernie Terrell situation was next. Either him or Frazier. I don't recall what order it was, but Terrell said that Ali laced him with the gloves in the eye. I don't know, man. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But Terrell's eye looked pretty messed up. But Terrell was clowning Ali before the fight, singing some stupid song, trying to make fun of him, calling him Cassius Clay and stuff. But so you can see why Ali had such disdain for him during their fight. I don't know. Terrell kind of didn't exactly come across in the best light at that time, in my opinion. I couldn't imagine he did back then either as well. So, anyways, you got the Joe Frazier situation. I mean, that's been rehashed hundreds of times, but it was interesting because normally you hear Joe Frazier speaking with disdain in regards to Muhammad Ali, but he showed a lot of emotion here. You know, he even got choked up a couple times. You know, in regards to himself and the situation, but also in regards to just Muhammad Ali and his situation as well. You know, so that was a interesting piece. It was definitely in contrast to the documentary that HBO did not too long back, where it seemed like Frazier just had a lot of dislike towards Muhammad Ali. This was definitely showed a different side of that. Ken Norton situation, another situation where you got to learn more about him personally, and not only about his fight with Ali, but how it benefited him and how it helped him out in life. I mean, I don't really want to get into too much of the stories because I think it's better if you hear them, you know, without any prep or anything. But just really, really, really good story that he had as far as fighting Ali and leading into it and everything. Just really, really great, you know. George Foreman, of course, you know, another situation, the Rumble in the Jungle, you know, something that's been hashed over a million times. And a lot of stuff George Foreman says you've heard before, but still interesting to hear it nonetheless, you know, especially why he, you know, him saying Muhammad Ali is the greatest fighter ever and why he believes that is. You know, kind of been there, done that situation, but still always good to hear what George Foreman has to say. You know, Ron Lyle, another heavyweight. I mean, if you don't know his situation, he was in prison, you know, and he came out and stuff and sparred with Muhammad Ali. I've seen that fight on ESPN Classic a few times, you know, and stuff, and a little backstory to it. Yet another good fighter with an interesting story. Well, actually, all these fighters had interesting stories, in all honesty, but the Ron Lyle situation was a good one as well. Leon Spinks, everyone knows, you know, he won the title for Muhammad in what, his 8th fight, I believe it was. The funniest thing about Leon Spinks' part is I won't get into it all once again, but he said when Muhammad Ali changed his name, became a Muslim, everyone wanted to change their names to and these are names that he said, and just the way he said them is so much better. But he said Kuli, Klala, Klili, Huli Huli, and Walla Walla, and then he said something else. And I mean, it's just hilarious. I mean, Leon Spinks is definitely he's a funny cat, man. He's really funny. You definitely get a good sense of his sense of humor, you know, aside from, you know, just him as a person. So his part was really well done as well. Ernie Shavers, another just a complete badass, you know, back in his day. But it says how he got into fighting and whatnot, you know, and he's pretty honest about it too, you know. Money, women, you know. It's the reason a lot of young males do a lot of the things that they do, you know. No denying that. So, and then of course, last but not least, you had Larry Holmes. Once again, another situation, especially if you saw the Holmes Ali documentary on ESPN last year. Situation where everyone pretty much knows the whole story to it, but still, nonetheless, good to hear from Holmes. You know, it's basically, it goes through a timeline of Ali's career, you know, with all these fighters. But once again, it's as much as it's focused on Muhammad Ali and his career and his fights with these fighters, it gets into these fighters' perspective as well, you know, what they gained from facing Ali. And it's interesting because at the time, for a lot of them, it was really a big deal fighting Ali, especially guys like Lyle and Shavers and Spinks and whatnot. But looking back now, the significance is even that much more, you know, how historical Muhammad Ali is and how important he is to society, you know, and just how big of a deal it is in hindsight for these guys to have been in the ring with them. So, great documentary. Be sure and check it out if you haven't already. Like I said, I'm sure it'll probably be on Spike again. If not, you can always go rent it or buy it. If you're a hardcore fan, you probably end up buying it anyway. So, that's that. Real quick, watch Fight Camp 360 last night on Showtime. Real good, man. Had to feel bad for Jermaine Taylor, man, and his family. Seeing him get knocked out like that. Just a bad situation, you know, especially with his mom and his wife in the crowd that close. You know, these are so in detail, you know, they're so up close. They seem so much more personal than HBO's 24/7, you know. Froch Durrell, you know, another interesting little story. The one thing I thought about with this fight, I know it's a close fight. A lot of people still have opinions on who they think won, but I forgot how much trash Durrell talked beforehand, you know, and he said he was going to take Froch out. You know, he didn't really fight that way, you know, so hopefully in his next fight he fights a little more aggressively because he's probably going to need, well, I don't know, against Abraham, maybe not. Maybe that wouldn't be the best plan. But anyways, then you had Ward Kessler, of course. You know, I did feel bad in a bit for Kessler because, damn, man, those headbutts and those cuts were pretty brutal. But either way, he was getting taxed in that fight. You know, you got to see Durrell kicking it with Ward and whatnot. So even Floyd Mayweather giving Andre Ward a pre-fight phone call in the locker room or the dressing room. So that was pretty cool. You know, that was an inside thing that you wouldn't even know what happened or expect. So it's good stuff, man. Fight Camp 360 definitely something I'm looking forward to. I think they got a new one. They said on the 27th, I believe it is, or maybe the 24th. I don't know, in a couple weeks. So looking forward to see what's next on that. Probably the builds towards the next round of fights more so than this was just covering the first round. But a good thing. Make sure you check that out as well. That's pretty much it for now. Check out the websites at WomenBloodFightShow.com, LeaderTheRing.com, iStandAndFight.com, and my Twitter if you're interested. Links in the information part as usual. That's it for now. If you guys seen these documentaries or Fight Camp 360, let me know what you thought. But until next time, I'm out.